Today, we're going to talk about this powerful, kind of invisible force that's always working in our minds. It quietly shapes our beliefs, justifies our actions, and basically writes the stories we tell ourselves about the choices we make. Seriously, think about it for a second. Have you ever done this? Maybe it was a big life decision, like a new job or a relationship, and you found yourself arguing for it just a little too passionately, almost like you were trying to convince yourself more than anyone else. Or how about this one? You buy a gadget, it's not as cool as you thought it would be, or you get those expensive shoes that really aren't that comfortable. And yet, what do you tell your friends? Oh yeah, totally worth it. You know that feeling, right? That mental tug of war, that uncomfortable static you feel when what you do and what you believe just don't line up? Well, it's a real thing, a universal human experience, and psychology has a name for it.
So, what do we call this mental static? Let's put a name to the feeling.
And here it is. The term is cognitive dissonance. Basically, it's that super uncomfortable feeling we get when our actions and our beliefs just don't match up. And let me tell you, our brains absolutely hate this inconsistency and will do almost anything to make it go away. The guy who really figured this all out was a social psychologist named Leon Festinger, and his quote here really hits the nail on the head. Our drive to get rid of that mental static is so powerful that we'd often rather change how we see reality than admit we were wrong. And Festinger didn't just guess this, he proved it. And to really see how far our brains will go, we've got to look at one of the most brilliant, most famous experiments in all of psychology. Okay, so the setup here was it was genius. Festinger had people do the most boring task imaginable, literally turning pegs on a board for a whole hour. Then he asked him to lie. He offered them money to tell the next person in line that the task was actually fun. Now here's the kicker. Some people got paid $20 for the lie, pretty good money back then, and others, they got paid a single dollar. So after they told the lie, they were all asked to privately rate how much they actually enjoyed the task. Now, what would you guess? Common sense says the people who got paid more should be happier, right? They'd rate it higher. What do you think really happened? Well, the results were just wild, the complete opposite of what you'd expect. The group that was paid only $1 said they enjoyed the boring task way more than the $20 group. It makes no sense, does it? But this is the magic of cognitive dissonance right here. See, the $20 group, they had an easy excuse. Of course I lied. They paid me $20. No internal conflict, no static. But the $1 group, they had a huge problem. Lying for a single dollar? That feels, well, kind of cheap, right? It clashes with the belief that I'm an honest person, so their brains are just buzzing with discomfort. And to make it stop, they did something incredible. They didn't change the fact that they lied, they changed how they felt. They convinced themselves, you know what? That task wasn't so bad after all. It was kind of fun. Okay, so our brains are constantly working to get rid of this mental static. But how exactly do they do it? Let's look at the 3 main strategies our brains use to cope. Right, so when our actions and our beliefs clash, how do we stop that static? Let's use a classic example. Imagine a smoker. They know smoking is bad for them. So you've got this conflict, right? Belief, smoking is deadly. Action, I'm smoking a cigarette. What happens next? While the first strategy is the most straightforward, but it's also usually the hardest. You change your behavior. You just quit smoking. Boom. Action now matches the belief. The static is gone. Problem solved. Okay, but what if changing the behavior is too hard? Well, then you go for strategy 2, which is exactly what the $1 group did. You change your belief. The smoker might start thinking, the health risks are probably exaggerated. Or hey, my grandpa smoked his whole life and lived to be 95. You're essentially rewriting the facts to feel better about what you're doing. And then there's the third strategy, which is maybe the most common one of all. You don't change the action, and you don't really change the belief. Instead, you just add a new one to bridge the gap. So the smoker might say, yeah, I know it's risky, but it helps me relax. And since my stress levels are so high, it's worth it. See? It's a clever justification that makes the 2 conflicting ideas live together peacefully. All right, once you know about these 3 coping strategies, it's like you've unlocked a new level of understanding people. You start seeing this stuff, cognitive dissonance, everywhere. Let's fire off a few real-world examples. Think about it. Why do people get into heated arguments defending their smartphone brand?
That's dissonance, justifying their purchase. Ever heard of the IKEA effect, where you love a piece of furniture more because you struggled to build it yourself? That's you justifying the effort you put in. Convincing yourself that really expensive coat was a smart investment? That's just your brain trying to quiet down buyer's remorse. And yet, it gets even bigger. Political allegiance, defending a politician even when they do something you disagree with. That's your brain working overtime to avoid the painful static of admitting you might have backed the wrong horse. So here's the big takeaway. Cognitive dissonance isn't a flaw in our thinking, it's just how our brains are wired. It's a built-in defense mechanism to keep our self-image consistent. And while you can't just switch it off, understanding it is a superpower. It lets you pause and ask yourself, wait a minute, am I actually changing my mind here? Or am I just trying to feel more comfortable with a choice I already made?
And that's the real question, isn't it? In what areas of your own life, your job, your habits, your relationships, is that little bit of mental static buzzing right now, just waiting for a convenient rationalization? Now that you're aware of it, what you decide to do is entirely up to you. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.